Yeah. No, yeah, yeah. Like I like Jersey. Actually, it's like it reminds me of being in the UK because I'm from like small town UK,
Hmm.
not like London or anywhere like that. So when I moved here, it was like, yeah, this actually seems really familiar. Like,
Yeah,
oh,
a charm to it, you know?
yeah. Why not?
The air quality is different.
It's funny though, like when I moved, I was in Queens for like 3 months
Mm.
and an Airbnb, and the hosts of the Airbnb were like really down on Jersey. And they were like, no, don't go there. And like the water quality is terrible and all that kind of stuff. And I got here and I was like, everything's fine. Like I don't understand what you were talking
I
about.
mean, they can keep shitting on it, and New Yorkers will always like shit on. It's fine, whatever. I'm used to it. But I like it. It can be our little secret. And also, hot take, but some people say that the water is actually pretty good because it helps makes our bagels better. So,
Mm.
oh,
And then we'll clip that and put it on TikTok and let the comments argue about it
yeah.
consistently.
Who has better bagels, New Jersey or New York? Let's go.
I mean, they're better than the ones I get in the UK. I didn't like bagels until I moved here. And I think that's pretty telling,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
that's all right.
But if
Sure.
you're happy, we'll get started.
Yeah, and is it gonna be also like, conversation? I'm just gonna be yapping and you're gonna be asking some questions and whatnot as we
Basically, yeah.
go
Yeah.
out? Okay.
I don't have any canned questions. Well, that's a lie. I have three. But the general idea of at least when I started doing this was I was bored of podcasts which were very canned question, like, how did you get started? Tell me your industrial history of what you've been doing through
Mhm.
X, Y, and Z, and then just talking about like recent projects. And I was like, I really like the idea of just like guests picking the topic and just seeing what we talk about and
Sure.
like having a discussion and opening that door. And then I get to learn something as well, which is
Okay.
always fun. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. But on that note, welcome to the podcast, Katie.
Thank you.
I assume you go by Katie, not
Yeah.
like Kate. Okay, cool.
Okay.
Not never a Kate.
No.
No, fair.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, fairly straightforward. So you actually came recommended, which is from, you know, other guests, and I had to do research on you, which
Well,
wasn't hard to do. Yeah.
yeah, the internet is a pretty open place, and I feel like, you know, you can find some stuff on there about me.
There was a brief moment there where, because you recommended by Caitlin Cook, and she was like, "I don't know if Kate will remember me."
No, I remember Caitlin. Yeah, I don't know if we ever had any classes together,
Yeah.
um, but I also know she was, and I'm pretty sure still is, dating Eric, who I met in his last year of school. He was in the film program. I was like being involved with the film program. So yeah, no, I remember Caitlin. She's also an amazing graphic artist, and but now she's doing like journalism, I think, maybe.
Yeah, she did. I think she does like comic journalism as well as like regular journalism. I think she recently got like a new job as well and just released a book. So
Exciting.
people be doing things.
Yeah.
You can't stop them, yeah, you know. But on that topic, for the people who are watching and listening to this, who are you?
My name is Katie Weinstein. I am an independent artist who writes, directs, produces, kind of does a bunch of different things depending on the day.
Hmm.
I love bagels. We were talking about bagels before. I'm trying to also like say things that aren't just like work related, because immediately I'm like, and maybe that's very much the New York like northeastern habit of like this is what I do and this is what I am, but that's not always the case.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's the vibe, I guess.
That's you. That's what you do.
I am. Yeah, bagel love an artist, I guess.
But I find it interesting you describe yourself as an independent artist and not as like a filmmaker.
Yeah, well, I didn't always start making films, and I feel like that's potentially why Caitlin had recommended me because I've started to build a company since graduating. We
Mhm.
went to school together, but I never thought I would be a filmmaker or a company owner.
Mhm.
And through collaborations with various friends and just taking inventory of like what the life I want to live. That has helped me. But yes, in a practical sense, I am a filmmaker, but I think like uh as I was saying before, like we are so many other things as well too. Like I also work at Princeton University, and the job that I have now is very important to me as like a human being, and it has like really kind of, well, I shouldn't say it has no correlation to filming because I'm also doing like little documentaries for them. So like very much still doing it. But the research that we are doing isn't really related to the arts like whatsoever.
Okay.
Um, but I say an independent artist because, and this is partly what I wanted to talk about on the podcast too, was that I feel like a lot of people say that they're independent or they have an independent production company, but don't like really mean it, or like waiting for the golden ticket for
Mm,
someone to like let them in to help them like launch their career and stuff, which I totally get, but also at the same time, like then in a way you're kind of just doing it out of uh I don't know, necessity or just like what it is. Whereas like I think when you really are independent, you have a lot of control and like freedom over what it is that you want to say and do because
mhm,
as we see all the time from our media, like people are just silenced and restricted to what it is that they can say. So yeah, I find a lot of pride in doing that. I'm still like repped and whatnot, but
mhm.
um, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's also like a force of habit that I'm just like so used to saying that like I haven't really done the deep dive of being like, but
Yeah,
uh, I'm just kind of riffing. But
yeah,
uh,
that
you gotta
works.
be self-sustainable, and I feel like that is tied to being independent.
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree. I think there is definitely layers to when someone says they're independent. And I always kind of approach it with like a little bit of suspicion at first off, especially if they're doing really well. I'm like, independent, but I don't know what does independent mean to you, and what does
Yeah.
independent mean to me? Those could be very, very different things.
For sure. And I mean, even with like Raw Daisies, which is my production company, we've kind of also stopped saying like independent production company. We've
Hmm.
started saying a, in parentheses, sees the means production company,
Okay.
which I think is pretty based and awesome. So yeah.
Just humbly think it's awesome. It's your own company.
Oh no, I'll be humble, but also like I believe in it. I think it rocks. I don't also have to be humble.
No, no.
I
I mean,
believe in something, right?
that's the Britishism in me, where I'm like, no, everything's terrible. Even it doesn't matter what.
Sure. Sure. I mean, you gotta have like some sense of cynicism, right? But like
Mhm,
cynicism is not wisdom.
mhm.
And yeah.
So what do you do at Princeton then? If it's research based, what's your
So, well, I started a couple years ago. I was in the broadcast center, and I was specifically doing like little documentaries for
Mhm,
like the quantum physics team, or for like we were doing a profile on a couple professors about like quantum physics, right? Because
mhm.
they're trying to build the first like superconducting quantum computer, which was like so cool.
Sure.
And I was learning a lot too, and like learning about like blockchains and like the gaps between the internet and its applications and all these things. So it was very fulfilling. I was mostly like an editor, so
Mhm.
doing a lot of like post-production stuff, but I would still be on shoots. But then coincidentally, okay, sometimes my brain like works in like a constellation, so I'll be here, but then I'll be here and then I'll be back. So
Perfect.
just,
Yeah,
bear with me.
all
Um,
good.
but one of the first projects that I did there was a podcast for this sociologist, Professor Matthew Desmond,
Mhm.
and he was promoting his book Poverty by America, and he was talking about how poverty is policy choice, and how America really has the funds to be able to stop poverty if we wanted to. And I just remember listening to this podcast being like, oh my God, this is amazing. Who is this guy? And then I did a little bit more sleuthing, and I was like, oh, he wrote Evicted back in 2015 that it won the Pulitzer, that changed the game on how reporting is done on poverty. And I was like kind of fangirling, and I like turned to my coworker and I was like, is every podcast like this? This is awesome. And they were like, Katie, like, what? No. But I still remembered like him and that chat. And fast forward like a year or two later, there was an opening in his research lab.
Mhm.
He started his own research lab at the university, and it's called the Eviction Lab. And I saw a job and I was like, I can do that. I can do that really, really well. And I really want to work with you. And I got it. So now I'm there. So it's a research lab that deals with, we're branching out, but like it started from trying to analyze like why are there so many evictions in this country? Where are they?
Hmm.
Um, because that's a problem, right? But like we've
Yeah.
never really had a database to track that, so they created the first ever database to track evictions.
Nice.
But now we're expanding it, and because what happens after you get evicted, you're homeless, right? So
Hmm.
now we're working in that sphere. We're trying to build an app right now to help a lot of continuums of care, which are like homeless shelters for various municipalities, to utilize the data that they're collecting to help the people that are coming into their systems, which is really, really epic and awesome, and very important,
Hmm.
because I believe that housing is a human right and no one should be homeless. And I think the fact that there are people who are unhoused shows that our systems are failing,
Hmm.
and that they're not working. So um, but then also, um, we don't have a lot of data on like who owns America. And so now the
Hmm.
project that we're working on is called Who Owns America. And so one of the one of the postdocs had developed his own data system of figuring out like who actually owns these buildings that people are renting from,
Hmm.
because he found that it was like, oh, you couldn't really find a person's name. It was like this business within this LLC within like just shell company to like protect them and like hide them.
Hmm.
And so he's really taking the veil to be like, no, like who is this person? And
Hmm.
the data that he is finding is like insane. And like I just think that project is so punk rock because it's like, yeah, you can't hide. Like
Hmm.
I do, yeah. So we're doing that. Um, I work pretty closely with Matt. He's working on a new book right now about the Department of Children's and Families.
Hmm.
CPS, so Child Protective Services, which is like, really, really light, easy topics.
Yeah, you know.
No, really hard. And he's saying that it's actually kind of harder than Evicted. Also, coincidentally, I have his book right here. So if you haven't read his books, also it's funny that I'm like literally promoting his work, but you should check it out because it's really sobering. Poverty My America is more of a manifesto, but I think really, really refreshing and eye-opening because he's also proposing solutions. And like, um, I don't want to like misquote it, but I think it's like if all of the wealthy folks just paid what they owed in taxes, not even like increasing their taxes, we would nearly be able to beat poverty. So it's a very attainable goal. But yeah, so that's what I do at Princeton, helping with him. Very similar to like what a film producer does in terms of like coordinating, scheduling. I'm also like leading a project right now to document like home lab. So I like led a whole like video where I interviewed Matt and Emma Beers, who was our lead on the project. Um, Went to a couple continuums of care and like filmed a bit to interview the people who are on the front lines
Hmm.
of this crisis, to hear them speak about it. And yeah, then I made the video. We sent it off to some people this week, and yeah, so
That's exciting times.
what's going on in Princeton. But point being, like that to me feels very, very important to me as like a human being. And like
Yeah.
obviously, like I said, it's connected to filming. Um,
Hmm.
and it also keeps me sustainable, right? It allows me to do all of the other artistic project and endeavors that I want to do. Because, being an artist in this economy, as I'm sure you know, is like really hard and you got to pay
Hmm.
your bills.
Hmm.
But at the same time, like there are so many ways in which you can do that, right? Like some people work at restaurants and some people nanny and whatnot. I found myself not being able to do those things and like getting really depressed and like just not happy. And then I
Hmm.
was like, okay, but I can take my skills elsewhere and do something that I like really believe in. And so, um, yeah, if I didn't have this job, I probably would, I don't know. I don't know if I would, like, for instance, I
Hmm.
love Raw Daisies, which is the company that I've built with my peers.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know if I would want it to be like I feel very fulfilled by my Prince. Like I love having both right now. Uh,
Hmm.
this season is really crazy because I also got asked to teach two courses at Rutgers. Um, so it's definitely crazy, but like part of life is just being able to throw yourself and figure out how to swim, you know? I'm kind of going all over the place, like I said, constellation, but
No, I think you have a through line. There's definitely like a through line there of like it's interesting that you started off with that you didn't really see the connection between the two, but then there is also a connection with the two. But then the majority of your research goes into poverty and lifestyle and social situations, and have yet set up a company which is a means to an end, which would be useful to people who would come from those backgrounds because independent and DIY is the only available real option for people
yeah,
who from those backgrounds.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think like when Netflix wants to buy Warner Brothers, like yeah, that's like crazy and scary, but also at the same time, like I do think it creates an opportunity for
Hmm.
independent filmmakers because like the movies, theaters, they don't want to go out of business, right? So
Yeah.
maybe they're gonna like buy more independently made films. So yeah, I think Hollywood obviously is changing and going through a big um
Mm.
adjustment period, but I think what's also true about this industry that it's constantly been in flux and it's constantly been dying,
Yeah.
right? Like, independent film was born and started dying.
Yeah.
So, and like I'm reading a book, it's called Oscar Wars, and
Mhm.
in the beginning it's like talking about the origin of the academy,
Mhm.
and they're all saying like, oh, it's over, like it's the Great Depression, like we're gonna collapse and it's gonna be over tomorrow, right? So if that's been like a consistent pattern of thought for nearly 100 years, I'm like, okay, maybe we just got to get used to the feeling of instability as being the basis for this industry
I
and
think
stability in other ways, but sorry, go on.
it's interesting because I think you're right. Like I think the film industry and movie industry, every biopic you watch about a director, like they make a film and they're like, oh, we're gonna do about this director. Every film which is made about a director has a period where they're like, no, the movie industry's dying. Everything's dying. It's all terrible. VHS is gonna kill the cinemas. No one's going to a cinema if they can watch a movie at home. And then, like you say, like everything transitions on, and now obviously we're in another major adjustment period because of technology and AI and all that nonsense. And yeah, it just runs in cycles. So that there needs to be you to work in that industry, you have to be comfortable with chaos to some
Yeah,
level.
and
Yeah.
adaptability, right?
Yeah.
Like Polaroid didn't adapt, and now
Hmm.
they're like back and they were bought, but like at the time they like ceased to really be in the market because they didn't adjust. Or like BlackBerry, right? Like
Hmm.
BlackBerry were like, no, I don't want to change it, and so then look what happened. So
10
yeah,
years we'll have BlackBerry back. That's it.
who knows? Who knows? I don't foresee that coming, but you never know.
You never know. Dumb phones came back. They were, everyone was like, we don't want apps, so they reintroduced dumb phones. Maybe we want keyboards again.
Sure. I
Mhm.
feel like I'm more likely to like have typos. I used to be such a bad texter and I would have like typos everywhere. I've gotten better. But maybe the keyboard
I think
would.
I've gotten worse, if I'm honest. When I type,
Yeah.
I think I've become reliant on autocorrect to an
Hmm.
extent. I mean, I'm not a great typist anyway. My grammar and punctuation is exactly how I speak, and that doesn't translate into a well-written formatted document of, eloquence. Um,
Yeah, but on the reverse, like I'm the type of bitch that will put like a period, in a text message, and that also isn't sometimes the vibe.
I still capitalize and full stop at the end. Like
For
that's as
sure.
much as you, but there's no commas.
Yeah.
You just it's very much like every sentence is strap in and figure out where I took a breath, and
Right.
then yeah, you just
Right.
ride through it.
But stream of consciousness, go, go, go. Pull a Jack Kerouac, just let it come out.
Proofreading is overrated.
But I think it's also funny too when autocorrect like corrects something because you've just like so habitually been
Yeah.
like if you have a friend for instance that you've always like capitalized their name, it'll
Mhm.
immediately like capitalize it. I'm like, I don't know when that happened, but like for whatever reason this person is just in all caps.
I
But
love that though. I want to get back to one of the things you said earlier though about the layering of independence
mhm.
within like different companies and the obviously different representations of independence and using that idea that I guess yeah maybe that's the question more so is your opinion then that some people do start as independents and DIY but only with the interest of making it to like the meal ticket stage and if they don't they would stop.
I think so.
Okay, that's fine. Like,
And that's okay. That's
yeah, yeah, no,
okay.
that's
Um,
yeah, yeah,
because oftentimes, like, what that looks like is more stability and is more opportunities to do what it is that you want to do. It just comes with the caveat of maybe not being able to do other things or say certain things or what have you, you know? So I don't want to like diss that because also like, that is great exposure and it helps you want to do the thing that you want to do, which is great.
yeah,
But everything is a cost benefit analysis, and you have to figure out what it is that you can stomach. So
yeah. I guess the follow-up to that is then how I think. I mean, my personal view is like that's great. I know as you say, like that's something which no one really can ever judge, right? Especially if you had to start DIY, it means you've known some level of lack of resource, right? You've known some level of lack of funding, lack of attention, lack of motivation, um, which means, like you say, your aim becomes stability.
yeah, I
Yeah.
also think it's potentially a lack of resources, but also
Hmm.
even if you have a lot of resources, you can still be on this route because it
Hmm.
allows you more agency over your life and your career. So you are not subjected to being told yes in order to do what it is that you want to do, right?
Hmm.
Like I think that was the most frustrating thing to me.
Right.
It's like I know that I can do this and I know that I want to do this and I have to wait for you to tell me that I can do this and I might not get it for very, very like stupid artificial, not artificial, superficial reasons.
Hmm.
That's so disempowering and so frustrating. And so part of like what it is that I'm teaching these kids at Rutgers is the practical tools to be able to do it themselves so they're not so reliant on other people. So it's like, yes, probably a lack of resources, if you will, because like,
Hmm.
yeah, Columbia or whoever like has a bunch of money to be able to like Columbia Records is what like mentally was going in my mind,
Right.
like to be able to get you your album, right? Um, but I think it also comes down to like not everyone like gets signed by like an agent or something, you know? And so how do you then, because no one's like begging you to be in this industry, right? Like if
Yeah.
you stop, maybe your friends or your professors will be like, oh, like don't do that, you know? But like for the most part, like they're not gonna be like banging down your door being like, what, what's going
Hmm.
on? So you really have to kind of like fight for it. You have to, if you want to do it, you have to do it. I think that's why like there are so many content creators around, and um, I am a proponent of like, yeah, not being demure if you want to be in this industry because it's really hard. And it's like if you love it and you believe in yourself, then like, yeah,
Hmm.
don't be humble. Be grounded and be like chill. Don't be like an egotist asshole. But I think you need to have confidence as an artist. And I think when you have the skills and the knowledge to be able to do it yourself, I think there's something really empowering there,
Hmm.
because it also allows you to say no sometimes when you don't want to do something. I do think in the beginning of anyone's career, whether it be in the research field or in the artistic field, although research still is like creative and artistic, just like looks like different things.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you should probably say yes to pretty much everything just because it allows you then to check in with yourself, being like, okay, I like this, I learned this, I didn't
Hmm.
like this, and it allows you to color, um, or allows you to be more specific with what it is that you vibe with.
Yeah. I'd say so. I found the comment of no one's asking you to be in the industry interesting because I recently did a because I do solo podcasts about how your audience owes you nothing essentially because I find one of the kind of like hurdles of doing anything independent or starting off with creating in any field is it's very easy to become easily embittered when it doesn't necessarily work.
Sure.
Or just because, you can't get the exposure through whatever means you're trying to do. And I find a lot of artists end up in that space where they're like, well, this was my dream. Why is no one paying attention to my dream? And it's like, well, yeah, but also it wasn't something which anyone was really asking for at any one point. It was your dream, and that's great, and that's fantastic, and you should chase that. But like you say, you have to have that bag of passion to be pushing yourself constantly and trying to fulfill that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard
Or
work. It's
yeah.
really hard work, and you have to get specific of like how you are going to attack trying to be seen and heard, but
Mhm.
also getting specific, like with your audience. Like, yes, it's your dream, but also at the end of the day, like it is for someone else. It isn't just for you. And if it is just for you, maybe go to therapy or just like, I don't know, like it's different. It's just different. Sorry.
I love that. That's great.
Mean, like it is a conversation.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, people will be, paying $10 to $20, maybe even
Mhm.
$40 if they buy a fucking popcorn, to see your piece of art. And so it should be in conversation with them. So you have to then like, yeah, look internally, being like, what can I offer? And in the beginning, there probably won't. I mean, unless you maybe go viral, who knows? But like, it's a marathon. It's not a race. It will take
Mhm.
time. And I think it takes a lot of endurance to be able to push past that. And like there will be a lot of doubts. I've had a lot of like doubts and questions, and um but at the same time, my company is a lot farther now than where we were a couple years ago, and it's
Mhm.
just through time, practice, putting yourself out there, a constant belief in yourself. The confidence that I was saying, like you have to know in your heart of hearts that you could do it and that you believe in yourself, and that
Mhm.
eventually talent will rise to the top, and I think it'll work out. I mean, it's hard to say, but then also if it doesn't, like then look at yourself really soberly and be like, okay, is this the life that I want to live? Maybe give yourself like 10 years and be like, okay, if it really doesn't pan out in the way that I dreamt it to be, what then am I going to do and change? Do I want to keep going down this path or not? Because as people get older, their priorities change.
Mhm.
So I think it's just a constant state of like checking in with yourself and your surroundings. So
I agree. I think I'm curious then, I mean, this may be loaded as a statement.
go for it.
Would you agree then that some level of struggle in creation creates better work?
Um, I want to say no because I do think there is a myth around like the struggling artist and like the
Sure.
tortured artist, and you
Hmm.
need to, be sad and broken and depressed in order to make these like amazing pieces. And I hate that narrative. I
Yeah.
actually think we need to get rid of that completely. I think in order to have a sustainable career, you need to be able to find the joy from the work that you love.
Hmm.
People always say like, if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your I also don't believe in that because like no, it will take work no matter what it is that you do. Um, Especially if you give it the seriousness that whatever it is that you're working on deserves, like you should work. Um, but like I said, you need to be able to find the joy from it. You need
Hmm.
to find the play because that will and what makes you curious about the thing that you are exploring because that will propel you to keep going down it even when there are really intense, hard working days.
Hmm.
Um, at the same time, I do think a sense of I don't want to say scarcity, but like when you do have limited resources, that allows you to not have so many options that it can be a little bit easier to get going on a certain project, right? Like if you know you have
Hmm.
X, Y, and Z, you'd be like, okay, then I have all of these ideas to like do it. Versus like if you really have the whole world, sometimes it can be a little daunting of how do I begin? How do I start?
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it's all abstract in a way. But when you have finite like resources that can help activate you and then you can expand and go beyond that. So no, but sometimes a little yes, if that
Yeah.
answers the question.
No, I think that's right. I think it's one of the things which I often think about is like the circular nature of creation, of where you have a struggle to get your idea off the ground. Maybe it does well. You find something which really connects with the audience, and therefore you start creating for the audience more so than creating for yourself. Let's say you draw apples. Suddenly everyone loves apples. Apples go viral. You're in that cycle of fruit for a constant period of time, and then you start to kind of fulfill that space, and you have to catch yourself, like you say, where you're constantly checking in with yourself to be like, okay, but is this what I want to do anymore, or now am I just doing this because it's stable, because it's the thing which I want to make and makes me money? Do I need to branch out and start drawing koalas? And that kind of cycle is something which really interests me, especially when I meet creators, because I think, especially obviously, I meet a lot of independent creators who worry about becoming somewhat stagnant in a way,
Stagnant with
just
the,
with their creations and with like their ideas, because they worry about having to pander to an audience. And if you had a bag of resources where there was no limit on what you could do, some people, like say, buy into that kind of myth of, well, you need the struggle. You have to be targetized. You have to have an addiction. You have to be, living on the street in order to create something significant, which I don't really agree with.
yeah, I don't
Yeah.
agree with that either because also when you are so focused on paying your bills or like
Mhm.
focused on shelter, like you actually just don't have the mental capacity to like think about other things. And that's why I'm like, housing is a human right. Like it literally
Yeah.
deals with our mental uh well-being. And like there are studies that show like it shows up as early as kindergarten. Like if a kid doesn't have a stable home from the age, I think people start kindergarten what, like 5 or 6 years old. For those like early
Hmm.
developmental years, like they see it by the time they reach kindergarten. Like that's crazy, right? And so like I get that you go through a lot of life and life is hard and like yes it can be a source of inspiration, but at the same time like addiction can prevent you from being able to do the thing that you want to do, right?
Hmm.
So I don't know, but like you do have to draw from yourself. Like you shouldn't create art solely catering for the audience because that's not good either, right? um but you just have to be aware of it, and you do have to pay your bills, so you have to like check in with yourself, like I said, of like what is it that you can stomach,
Hmm.
right? Some people are okay working maybe this artistic job that they don't find super fulfilling, but it allows them to do the other things that they want to do. Like for instance, for me, when I was like bartending and like waiting tables, I couldn't do it.
Hmm.
So that's why I kind of pivoted, and now I love my day job, as I was saying before. I believe so much in it, and I've kind of molded it in a way to still connect with what it is that I'm like doing in an artistic way. Um, so I think there are different like journeys, but like I hear when people say that like yeah you got to be tortured and
Hmm.
whatnot, but I think it's a myth. I think it's not sustainable and it's not fun, and like yeah, I just think it's a really toxic POV.
I get that. I think I agree. It's interesting as well. Like, I mean, obviously, you teach. I was going to say you teach it presumably younger people.
Yeah, they're third years and that so they're juniors and then fourth years too,
Okay.
seniors.
Yeah. It's like, and I wonder, like, obviously, as we said previously, to loop back, media and creation industries are always in flux. That's why they are what they are. Right now, like it's a big one, but I wonder how their generation kind of values that POV of the tortured artist, because I recently had conversations with some more techie people, people who are very much focused on the like the product side and wanting, the cash profit of those items and how to sell those items. And they were saying they find more and more that kids are even more focused on that. And I said, well, that's not a new thing, because grew up in the 90s and celebrity was the thing. Everyone wanted to be a celebrity without really any context to how they became a celebrity. And
Yeah.
now the new version of that is that people want to be influencers without any context of how they're influencing, what they're influencing. They just want to be seen and want to be known. And I wonder if that view of the tortured artist and tortured artist creation is also getting diluted because so many more people might want to and have easy access to being seen. That made sense, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's interesting because like coincidentally, oh sorry if you heard that. I
I
forgot to
heard
turn off
nothing.
do not disturb. Okay, good.
I don't
Um
edit either, so this will stay in. Don't worry.
Rock on. Um yeah, coincidentally one of my students was saying how she really hates that POV and is very much against it too. So I think there is like a bit of a shift, but at the same time, like the band Geese, they're
Mm-hmm.
popping off right now. There's a bomb in my car. There's like something so nihilistic and like, but also like his writing is just very beautiful. Like
Yeah.
Love Takes Miles is a gorgeous song. Like, come on. But versus coincidentally also some of my coworkers were talking about this a little while ago, the early 2000s, like I am beautiful, like just a very different sentiment than there's a bomb in my car, so I think
Yeah.
culture Like, because the world is so fucked, literally and metaphorically on fire, like, that is percolating into how people engage with one another. I think that's
Mm,
why sometimes people can equate cynicism for wisdom, but I don't think like that's also the way to go too. And so I think those POVs can like lean a little bit more into the tortured artist uh, figure. And I
yeah.
also think in New York, it is true. I don't know so much about other parts of the country or even in LA, but I do think like in New York, you're in the rat race, you're grungy, you're doing all that. Like
Mhm.
it's potentially in that ecosystem more so than others, maybe. I don't know.
Could be. I recently heard the phrase of the like whilst New York obviously has a high threshold for struggle is one way to put it. It also embodies the idea of that it's very easy to cosplay struggle in New York
Oh,
because you get
sure.
so many nepotism children living in Bushwick are basically cosplaying poverty and
Yeah.
those kinds of things. Like that's actually a genius phrase because that's exactly what I'm seeing at times.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. If you have mommy and daddy paying for your rent every month, like,
Yeah.
okay.
But I write songs about how I'm broke and heartbroken, you know,
Sure.
to live in the world. I have a side tangent question, which isn't a side tangent. I'm curious. Obviously, you set up Raw Daisies,
Mhm.
owning the means and production in the great way that you can. For the public, I think media production is kind of a black box a lot of times. They don't realize like they understand obviously there's camera work, there's acting, there's writing, and I'm curious if there's a part which you think needs to be known more about of that process, which they wouldn't necessarily think of when they think, oh, that's something that you would have to own and something which would have to be like taken into account.
Do you mean like a physical?
I mean, physical or like even metaphorical, like the idea of when I think of like a film production and I think, oh, well, marketing is a thing, part of film production. For a lot of people, they think, oh, well, that's a given because you're already working with creators, you're already working with the talent. So that just kind of comes out the box, where in reality, that's a completely different skill set a lot of times.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, marketing is a great example. The first thing that comes into my mind is the pre-planning before you even
Right.
get to set, like
Yeah.
how much planning and how much time and care should be spent in development and pre-production to make sure
Mhm.
you set the ground right for a successful production. Because I think sometimes when a production doesn't go super well, it's because of a lack of planning or anticipation in the beginning. And I really love that stage.
Yeah.
Maybe because I'm, anxious that I like thinking about all the ways in which something can go wrong and like having a system and a plan of action is very self-soothing. No, I just a little bit,
Sure.
but yeah, I think, there are so many like documents where you have to make where I mean you don't have to. You can just like, pull a Sean Baker or a Richard Linklater and just like go out and make it
Mhm.
as you go. But if you do on a plan, like you make schedules, you make shot lists, you make all these things. And like people know that, but like I think sometimes it can be easy to forget like really how much logistics play a factor. Like one of our favorite Raw Daisies quotes is um, men win battles, logistics win wars.
Right. Okay. I like that.
So that's I think relevant to this conversation. You really have to think through and plan. And I also think that's what like makes us a strong company too, because I
Mhm.
think a lot of people like want to make a film production company but don't have the infrastructure to be able to like sustain it or like
Yeah.
the operational insights in order to make it going. But like we've got shared drives, we got, meetings every week, we got all these things to like keep it happening like that. I don't know. I kind of lost my train of thought there. The
No, it's
coffee's
cool.
starting to kick in, then I'm like, but yeah, planning is important.
Mhm.
But also not being so rigid that you can't adapt, right? Also kind of circling it back to what we were talking before, because this industry is it's so in flux.
Mhm.
You need to be willing to throw out all the plans that you did, and like see what's happening right now in this moment, and go from there. So it's a mixture of like, yeah, coming prepared because you need to have a framework to be able to know that you can get rid of it and then make informed decisions if need be on the spot.
That's cool.
But yeah, I think marketing is also a great example. I think that's also an example of how the industry really, really changed. Like with Miramax, they started promoting movies as if they were like rock concerts, right?
Yeah.
And almost alluding to parts of the film that weren't actually like really the centerpiece of the film in order to get people into the door. And that is a skill to being able to figure out what you think would draw people into your piece. And it kind of, sucks that nowadays, like, an artist has to think about and do everything, right? Because that also isn't super sustainable. I just had a meeting with this great guy, and he's like working on this narrative podcast, and he's like, I'm doing everything, and it's like, yeah, Renaissance men or like you don't have a so yeah, it's a lot to do, but again, like if you really want it, I think through persistence, you will be able to open yourself up to more opportunities, and things might come a little bit easier over time. But in the beginning, like it is hard work. Does that answer your question?
That does answer my question. It was also a very, very nice way to put it, I think. Like, I think this is, again, it kind of comes back to that thing of finding that balance of work versus pushing self. Like, it's perseverance. And like said earlier, it's like it's a marathon, not a sprint. You can't burn yourself out in the case of like creating something just for the sake of like pushing yourself. You have to kind of plan and have a framework. But it's also I find it funny that the amount of people I meet with anxiety who work in production. Um,
Oh, there's something there, maybe.
it's almost like it's an industry built by people with anxiety who just got into jobs and were like, you know what? If we had an extra layer between everything, which was just about organization, this would work so
Yeah, more
well.
cushions for sure.
You gotta learn to float, is what I always say to producers. So
Yeah.
you gotta learn to float. Okay, I have a few more questions, which
Mhm.
are popping up as we go. I'm curious then. So how long is pushing daisies, raw daisies? How long has raw daisies been going? See,
Legally, I think.
you were operating illegally for a period
No,
of
no, no,
time.
no, no. Just more so like we were making projects together for I think like 2 or 3 years, but
Okay.
then we worked on a big shoot that I was like, I don't want anyone to sue me, so we're
Hmm.
gonna have an LLC. I also realized part of it was my naivete. A lot of
Hmm.
people say you make an LLC per film project you're working on. I didn't know that. And
Hmm.
also my accountant was like, you need to make an LLC for like tax purposes and everything. And I was like, oh, okay. And so that made me think, yeah, like a business, a company.
Yeah.
But also around the same time, one of my friends is a very niche Japanese woodworker, and he was asking me to film classes and like help broaden his audience. So I was like, oh, if there's a commercial side that can help fund the narrative sides, like
Hmm.
that's the seeds, groundwork for a potential company that could make money and make the movies that they want to make.
Yeah.
So it was like an amalgamation of certain things. But I think our LLC was December of 2022.
Okay.
So,
So for 4 years or so of like legitimized LLC-ness.
which is so crazy and so exciting because we really have grown and we built our team.
Hmm.
Like we're meeting more people, and we do a bunch of events in the summer, and we got press last year about it, and more people that I don't know have like started to come in, and we're getting like pitches and things, and it's like really really exciting. Like it's so fulfilling. And as I was saying before, how like I love my Princeton job and I wouldn't be super fulfilled without it. At the same time, like if I just had my Princeton job, I don't think I would be super fulfilled without all of my Raw Daisy stuff, because it's like both a grounds for me to express myself artistically, but also a way for me to like give back and like help other people and like champion the stories that I believe in and think deserve to be up there and shown and seen. So yeah, so 4 years, growing, moving, all the things, baby steps. But like I said, I believe in what we're doing. I also think like we are not afraid to say what it is that we believe in. I think um, there's a reason why we're called a Seize the Means production company. Um,
I think
and
that's evident, though. I think from what I've seen online, and obviously speaking to you, it's evident that you care. and it like you're extremely passionate about it, but also that you it comes from a very sincere place. And I think that creates extra value in kind of like what you're doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's my belief is so sincere and so intense. I
Okay.
wouldn't be doing this, yeah, without it.
Brief question then. What's the biggest mistake you've made in the last 4 years doing it?
Any like specific
Can be anything. Could be you ordered like 500 pounds of shrimp and you ended up with
I
2,000 or
I actually like don't like I
that's an
don't
even bigger mistake.
I don't know. Like I like shrimp scampi, but I'm like I actually think I just like the butter. Like I don't know if I'm really like the shrimp because I had an omakase dinner for my birthday a couple months ago, and like I don't. I think you have to cook shrimp, but it was like maybe like poached or like I could not do it, and I love fish and everything, but like
No shrimp.
I don't know,
Yeah.
not for me. Also like the fact that you kind of have to like take out the poo in a way. I don't know.
Sure, sure.
Very odd. But sorry. Okay, mistake in the past 4 years. I'm also trying to think back, like, because I've definitely made mistakes, but I'm trying to think
Yeah.
like when
There's definitely, I think it's one of these things which I like to ask people, and especially when I meet people who had been doing like a new project, a new company, and everyone always talks about success. They always talk about like this is the things you need to do for success. And then there's always one like little moment where like I spoke to someone a few years back and they were like, so we arranged a shoot, we did everything perfectly, we had a script, we had all the actors, everything like that. We got a location and we got to the location and the police turned up.
oh my God, that would I would
And it was just like, why are the police
horrifying.
here? It's like, oh, because you had the location, but you didn't have the license to shoot at the location. So someone reported you, and they're like, oh. So they
Yeah,
had to cancel like 3 days of production to do it. So,
horrifying,
yeah.
horrifying. No, so we have a onboarding packet that I made for like newcomers or any interns, and we literally
Mm.
have a section that's lessons learned from the past.
Oh,
So I can kind of just like go through it and I can share some like anecdotes because I
yeah.
am an open book. I think honesty is important and I will totally admit when I've like fucked up because I think, especially as a leader, like I
Yeah.
think that when you're wrong because I don't always know the answers
It's
and
the only
there
way to progress is
yeah.
accept you did something bad.
Social media can be wild. Why? Fuck me. All right, I'm gonna start over.
Take two.
Yeah, I do. It's still kind of the morning.
Sure.
Social media can be wildly misinterpreted.
Mm.
So this happened when sort of like a little bit of a backstory.
Mhm.
I didn't know this at the time, but now I know that like nothing is set in stone until it is like set in stone until you like have a contract. But I was under the impression that this one person was getting a role, and so I was speaking to them as if they had already had it because in
Mhm.
world I was hearing from the director that they had the part, and I was like, okay, great. Never did I think that they wouldn't actually get the part. But then the director had saw someone and was like, actually, I want this person. And then had like posted on social media and then this other person saw and it was just like I yeah, I like fucked up. I was like, I should not have been speaking in this way, but I had no idea that it would have turned out in this way. So that was a big fuck up, a big learning lesson there. And yeah, you just got to be very careful about what you post on social media because you never know how someone's going to see it. Like it could mean something really like light and silly to you, but also
Mhm.
just like just think about who's seeing it, especially
Yeah.
if you haven't like communicated certain things to them.
Definitely.
Never get anyone's hopes up. This is sort of actually connecting the two. Never get
Mhm.
anyone's hopes up, particular people like actors, right? So that was big for me.
Actors are people too. Mhm.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. You can only do what is in your control.
Mhm.
It's better to pay and have a contract than to not pay and to go by a promise.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, even if it's like half now, half later, just try to
Yeah.
get someone locked on so they don't just like, last minute peace out.
That's actually like I think that's actually something I've discussed before with a guest, and they were saying that they stopped doing any collaboration which was free. They essentially they'd gone through too many people who had been flaky, and they were like, even if I'm just paying you $50, like as soon as there's money on the table, people feel way more connected to it, and they're just more willing to put time into effort into things. So even just like small amounts can just really solidify everything. I agree.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
100%.
Okay.
When working with other organizations, try to talk directly with those with the most relevant authority. So, for example, if a barista friend of yours wants to host an event, try to speak directly with their manager or their boss to make sure that they are totally in the loop. So there's not like a loss of communication there, because you never know how much
It
they act.
happened.
On that same token, make sure that the person you're communicating to is also communicating with the person who's really in charge. So, kind of like one to one.
You
Um,
could reduce these. You could have less bullet points. Is what we're
I
discovering in
don't have
this
to go
list.
through all of them if you don't want me to go through them, but you asked me for like the
I'm
things,
curious.
the clear lessons
It's
that we
valuable information.
learned.
Go.
Um, Sort of connecting from the first bullet point, don't
Mhm.
assume anything about your business relationship based on social media because it's not reliable. You have no idea.
Yeah.
It's the phones. We all overreact to things at times. The main thing is to recognize what our triggers are, how our personalities affect the way we basically view the world, and to not double down when something gets our hackles up,
That's
right?
nice. I like that one.
Yeah. As much as you can separate the personal and the professional, when you're
Mm-hmm.
working with your friends, it can be really hard. It can be kind of gray, but
Yeah.
as much as possible, for respect for both parties, you have to try to separate the two. And you may not always work well with your friends,
Mm.
right? And on top of that, don't do a project just because it is your friend, right?
Uh,
Like, if you do a project, it's because you believe it's viable and it like strikes something in your artistry. It's
mm,
and that you think you can be uh instrumental in the piece, that you can be a good collaborator on it. You shouldn't just
mm.
do it because like your friend is like struggling and in need of help if there's something right with the project that you don't vibe with, because I think that is not the right entry point to
Hmm.
personally.
That's an interesting one though, because it is harder to say no to friends.
Yeah, but I think if you don't, if you say yes and you don't really want to,
Yeah.
that's how the personal and the professional can get muddy, and like
Mm.
no project is worth a relationship, I think.
No, I completely agree.
And then there are two more. Take realistic stock of your availability and energy.
Hmm.
Err on the side of caution. I'm someone who likes to say yes to everything, and I always have to be like, do I actually have the bandwidth to be able to take this on, right? Because if
Hmm.
you overcommit yourself, you're going to let someone down. So you have to be, as hard as it is to say no to someone, or like be honest with someone, you have to, right? Because if you have a tendency to like people please, you're going to cause more like pain for that person that you so care about. So it's better actually to just be super honest.
Hmm.
And you got to trust your gut. You know yourself really really well. So those are some lessons that we learned, some mistakes that happened along the way. I mean, I guess I didn't give like specific examples for the other bullet points of like the mistakes, but like you can kind of
No,
imagine.
I think they all kind of like fold into just like genuinely good like life advice, to
Yeah.
be honest.
Well, because yeah, in order to run a business, like you should, yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. It's like trust yourself, communicate well with people around you, and don't go by just what you see on social media.
Yeah, and take care of the people around you too. Like I think you know, Princeton is like corporate America, but like not like really. But I think like it always frustrates me when people are like cutthroat and competitive with one another, and I
Hmm.
get it, but at the same time, like one, I want to see the people around me succeed because like I care about them, so I want them
Hmm.
to do well. But then two, like we're all fighting for the same thing. We're on the same team, right? Like our goal is the same.
Hmm.
Uh, so yeah, I think you just gotta be kind to thy neighbor, you know?
Again, like that's kind of like an interesting like it's like an interesting tangent of thought of I've often had conversations around competitiveness in creative fields and this whole idea of you can end up in situations where other people want to ruin other people because they're like, well, I'm clearly better, so I'm going to make this, and this, and you should fail. But the people who write off any kind of challenge from like other creatives, especially friends, I find kind of insincere because I find if you have friends who do challenge your creativity, you improve quicker because you trust their opinion, you trust their critique. So if they're coming to you and saying, well, yeah, it's not that great or that kind of thing, but they present it in a way which kind of lifts you up at the same time and says, well, this is the things you could do, or these are things you could maybe try, maybe you want to rework that. It's just as valuable as just, the collaboration itself, because collaboration isn't always smooth. It's
Hmm.
just a
Yeah.
journey. Yeah.
Yeah, and conflict doesn't necessarily mean, screaming at one another. Like there's
Yeah.
going to be conflict no matter what relationship and no matter what project, because you might just have oppositional like views.
Mhm.
But sometimes that is helpful because it will allow you to get to what it really should be to some
Mhm.
extent. But yeah, I think you're right on the money there. Like you want to have people who can check you, if you will, and be honest with you because they believe in you and they know that it can be better, right? Like if you're just fed like positive feedback, and that's all you're seeking,
Mhm.
again, maybe go to therapy or like maybe you're in the wrong industry because like that's it's not going to get the best work out of you. You still should have like yeah an encouraging
Mhm.
environment, right? Because I think you said like in an uplifting way. Because if you're so negative, that can be really discouraging, and then the person can be like, "Oh, I don't have the motivation that I did before." So it is a balance, but also like yeah, you want people who can critique you.
Yeah. I think that kind of comes back to like your original topic points of like that's sort of the root of most independence. Like it's the root of most independent organizations and DIY endeavors is approach it with some level of honesty and accept the challenge of critique.
Hmm.
Otherwise, you'll quickly fail. You'll
Yeah.
be disappointed, which is not what anyone really wants.
Yeah.
No, such a shame. Okay. Well, I have two questions to round this out on
Okay.
because we're almost at an hour. Last one is kind of follow on to it, like what we were just discussing. Can be related, can be unrelated. It's entirely dealer's choice. What is just a genuinely good piece of advice? I love watching people panic on this question.
My brain, no, I know. Um, of course, like I feel like I always have it, and then when the question presents yourself, you're like, oh,
You're like,
my
right.
blank.
You like
It's
keep sponges dry. That's good
yeah,
advice.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Brush your teeth every day.
Brush your teeth,
Uh,
stretch. Those,
no, genuinely stretching is actually so important, but that's not going to be my piece of advice. What's my piece of advice? Um, that's something that I haven't said already. I think luck is opportunity meeting preparation. So I think you, if an opportunity presents itself, you should be prepared as much as you can be, and that might lead to quote unquote lucky situations. Like I don't, you can do things to allow like luck to happen to you, I guess.
okay.
And also continuing to put yourself out there and magic existing outside of your comfort zone, surprising yourself.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, maybe that okay?
Because that's okay. It's whatever you want it to be.
Well, that's what's coming to me right now as a piece of advice.
No, I think that's good. I think the there is a reliance on luck and coincidence, which people can get disappointed by.
Hmm.
And, like you say, there is a level of preparation to that in any way, shape, or form. Like if you happen to be working at a bar and then you meet someone who makes films and you say, oh, hey, I'm into films. And like, oh, that's cool. And you say, oh, I'm a writer. And they're like, oh, that's cool. You got anything written? And you don't, and you got no idea, like kind of in the can of the brain. It's like you had a lucky moment, but
Yeah. Yeah.
didn't prepare.
Also, one other thing, just put yourself out there. Like, be willing to fall on your face and get rejected because you never know what the fuck could happen. Because you might actually get what you want.
That's pretty solid advice as well. Yeah, I like that. Okay. And my last question, again, which you may or may not have to think about, is obviously you came recommended, Katie,
Mhm.
by the people
Hey,
out
man.
there. But who should I speak to next?
Ooh, okay, so many people. Are you wanting I love all my friends, so it's like hard to just
Pick
like
your favorite.
one of oh, come on now. No favorites. I watched a short film about like these kids were like dying and the parents like had to pick a favorite
Right.
kid and they were like we can't and then the dad was like this one and everyone was like what and then they both ended up surviving and then it was like so awkward after
Just
like uh,
love
uh,
it.
are you wanting someone like in the film industry or are you wanting someone like completely tangent?
I speak to genuinely anyone who's recommended because the whole concept of this is they pick the topic and I meet new people.
Honestly,
So
I kind of want to give you some of my like Princeton coworkers because like spice it
if
up
you think they're willing, let's
like
do it. Like, let's
yeah, I
go.
feel like you're just mostly surrounded or I mean I don't know, but like I feel like sometimes, it can be artists mostly on your
I
podcast.
mean,
I don't know.
I
I
mean,
feel
it's the risk of recommendation. I interview an artist, and then an artist recommends an artist. But sometimes it comes left field. Sometimes, like Caitlin, I found on my own. I've it's just someone who I saw the work of, and was like, "This is amazing work. I should talk to this person." So I do deviate it from the plan. So I'm happy to talk to anyone. I'll
yeah,
talk to an accountant for an hour if we need to.
I feel like I want to recommend either my coworker Nayatara or
Mhm.
Kathy. So those would be one of my two recs. I don't know if either of them would be willing, so that's why I'm saying like two. I can
Mhm.
like reach out to them or you can reach out to them, but they both rock, and so that would be my rec.
Okay. What do they do?
So Kathy is a postdoc and she is doing a lot of crazy, she has a background in economics and she's doing a lot of crazy equations to figure out
Oh wow.
she's on the like who owns America side of things.
Right.
So she's trying to like help with that project, but she's also like working on her own thesis right now.
Mhm.
And then Nayatara is on Matt's DCF project, so she's doing a lot of research with CPS and trying to build an analysis plan for how to intake lots of stuff. But yeah, they're really cool and they're great people. So those would be my recs that you should chat with.
I'm happy to chat with it. That sounds cool. Yeah. I'm just saying, yeah, I'm happy to reach out or happy to take recommendation if you just say, hey, I gave your email to this random person. You can ignore him if you need to. That's
Oh, they're great. They're really kind. But yeah,
Oh, well, it's been lovely. I think
had a great time. Thanks for
we covered your topic.
inviting. Sorry.
I think we covered your topic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we chatted for an hour.
Like
Like, it's
90%
fine.
sure. Yeah. But thank you for coming on. If anyone needs to, they should check out Raw Daisies.
Yes, please do.
And the various events, which I assume you have going on through the year.
Yes. Primarily in New York. However, this year we might go to other
Mhm.
places. Right now we're working on a Pittsburgh event. So if you're based in Pittsburgh, trying to do more Jersey things. But yeah, at Raw Daisies, rawdaisies.com. TikTok is not really happening, but that's okay. And yeah, come hang out and party with us this summer.
Definitely will. Yeah, I think when I found your stuff and I was looking through the website, I was like, oh, this is like one is local. But yeah, it's like it's definitely something I want to make it to and bring a few people. We'll see what's going on. But that'd be cool. Alrighty. Well, enjoy the rest of your weekend and we will talk to these guys later.
Bye.